Last time you played Clemson, low-scoring affair. Of course, you were without Carter and Trey. Do you expect more of the same? Or?
Well, if you look at the track record, I would expect more of the same. Hopefully, we'll be able to score some more points. And so, with Trey getting a little bit better every day, and I think he's seen really good progress in Robert, you would hope that we'd have a few more offensive weapons out there.
Of course, you look at the stats. The rebounds were pretty even in that game. Getting Rob back will help a little bit.
But we rebounded well in that one. We have to do even a better job though, due to the fact it is probably going to be a low-scoring, defensive-minded game. You have to make sure you don't give up any easy baskets on second chance points and those type of hustle plays.
What makes them effective on defense?
Well, they got good length inside and size. I think Rod Hall kind of sets the tone for him defensively. He's a physical defender that can guard multiple positions. And every one of their players either has great size or length. And so they do a really good job of making, contesting every shot. Very rarely do you get an open shot against them.
I guess one of the keys, too, will be to try to keep McDaniel off the scoreboard like he did last game.
Yeah, we did a pretty good job on him, and he missed some shots that he's been making. So you have to keep him off the glass. You got to take away any transition points that he can get. But he's one of the premier players in the league. You can't count on a player like that going 3 of 14 again. What you have to do is you can't give him any easy ones, and you have to make him earn everything. And he's a good enough player where even in those situations he can get you 15 or 20 points.
It was Marcus mostly was on him last
Marcus
time?
was on him a good portion of that game. Yep. And I think vice versa. I think
Right.
McDaniels was on Marcus as well. So, it's a pretty good battle.
Cam mentioned after the game that his knee was a little sore. Is he okay?
We'll see on Saturday at noon. He won't do much the next couple days. It's just an ongoing thing, and he tweaked it in the BC game, and I think where you see it is in the physicalness around the basket, especially on the rebounding edge. I think he just and so the only thing that you can do right now is just rest him.
How did Trey respond from?
I thought pretty good. He felt pretty good yesterday. Got some shots up yesterday, and we're gonna really test him the next 2 days in practice.
The games you've had with Clemson, you've also been very close, but you obviously come short. I mean, it almost kind of, I'll say defies explanation, but it's strange that if teams win that many games, you're thinking, oh, they're much better than us, but it's not really that wouldn't seem to be the case.
They've made the plays at the end of games.
Yeah.
Either be a free throw or get a defensive stop or make a big basket. You look at the last game. I think Rod Hall was playing extremely well right now. Made one basket in that game, and that was with a minute and a half to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we got 2 or 3 crucial stops, but weren't able to capitalize on the other end. And when the teams are you can say relatively evenly matched, it comes down to making plays at the end of games.
Right. Well, that'd be something you mentioned to Daniel and Cam about. You guys got to go with a win against this team? Or?
Well, I think they know the importance of this game, one, because it's the next game.
Right.
And two, they have 2 more home games left, and they want to finish it out on a high note, so playing well is going to be important for those guys.
In your time, does Clemson at all feel like a rival more than other ACC schools to you? Or?
Well, I think geographically, I think that's why they've been placed in that. Obviously, if you look at other than maybe a year or two over the last 8 years, they've been pretty successful in this league.
Right.
Maybe they don't get the credit that they deserve on that. So it's an important game. Our guys, it's close enough, and we've recruited a lot of their guys. They've recruited a lot of our guys. So yeah, I think our guys understand that this is, that's the one thing. Sometimes those the games in this league get overshadowed by other games. And you got to get to a point where that's not the case. In some other leagues, that's not the case.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they all count as one, and you got to take care of the next one up. You know, as soon as that one game's over, better make sure you're focusing on that one.
You look at the standings, there's a bunch of teams grouped together, the Georgia Techs, the Miamis, the Wake Forests, the Notre Dames, are all in that same area. I imagine these games down the stretch are going to be important for that seed in the tournament.
Yeah, but more importantly, you want to build, you know, you want to be
momentum.
playing well at the end of the year. And so with 5 games left, that's, you know, I'm hoping that during that time, as I said after the last game, that we get as whole as possible. But that just doesn't mean those guys are on the court. That means those guys are as effective as they have been. And I think that will give us a big boost.
Do you take any encouragement at all from the way you guys played the second half against Duke? I mean, you held them to 25, I guess it was.
Well, yeah, I mean, the last 38 minutes of the game, it was a high score.
Right.
You know, so you have to find some solace in it, but maybe not as much as you would think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We defended better in the second half. You know.
I think you out-rebounded like 7.
Yeah, and we out-rebounded them, and they had out-rebounded us down there. But I said, you know, sometimes numbers are deceiving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they can be deceiving. And so you do have to pull some positives out of that. I thought the aggressiveness and the assertiveness of Rob was a very positive sign for us, and Cam as well. You know, again, because of the pressure, Daniel was pulled away from the basket quite a bit. But I thought defensively, again, he you know, was really, really good. You know, and that's going against a guy who right now is, you know, in Jabari Parker. You know, you're surprised when someone scores on Daniel. You know what I mean? I think you kind of take it for granted that not a lot of people are going to score around the basket if Daniel's guarding him. But the kid's an All-American. You know what I mean? He's a top 5 pick in the draft. You know, so it's not like he's going against, you know, Lil Abner. You know what I mean? So you have to, and he gets upset, you know, because he's not used to it either. So, but I thought, you know, defensively, he did a heck of a job.
Seemed like Parker's quickness was a factor there too.
Yeah, you know, it's a tough matchup because it's in a small area. He's got great explosiveness. It wasn't like he took him off the dribble at times. Like Daniel got switched on a couple times to Hood or a guard. He guarded those guys well, kept them in front, made them shoot over him. You know, did a great job in that. But in that tight area where Daniel's used to using his size and his good feet, Parker's, you know, explosiveness and quickness was, you know, on what, 2 or 3 times, probably was evident. It wasn't like he scored every time he touched the ball against Daniel either, you know. But again, I think because of the perception and because of how well Daniel has defended everybody else, you're like, oh, you know, and that happens.
Especially in that second half, you saw a lot of good one-on-one defense. You look at guys like Suleiman, who kept looking to take guys off the dribble, and it didn't happen as often as he felt he should have.
Yeah, well, exactly. But we defended much better in the second half. Our pressure was better. Keeping guys in front was better. We had just better awareness of where guys were. And what Duke does is they can score from every position. So every mistake you make, for example, we're down 12 and kind of, you know, getting back in the flow. We get a defensive stop and we make one mistake. There's only one guy we don't cut out, and Jefferson gets the rebound and kicks it out, and that's when Hood hits the 3. The next possession, we get another defensive stop, and there's only one guy going to the glass, and that's Parker. And Daniel does a great job of wedging him underneath the basket, and he reaches behind him, and he's got unbelievable hands, tips it to himself, and gets an and 1. So we get down 12, we get 2 defensive stops, and we're down 18. You know, and that's the difference between the top 10 team and everybody else.
Of course, last night that Syracuse game showed that nobody in this league can take any team lightly, and you know there's always chances for upsets.
Well, our win the last week seems a lot better now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where everybody says, "Whoa, they barely beat Boston College." Again, there's a, you know, sometimes some of those perceptions and so forth. You got to remember, Boston College at home was up 8 on Syracuse with about 5-6 minutes to go. You know what I mean? And I said they're a dangerous team, and because of the way they can shoot the ball, you know, and they, you know, shot the ball pretty well yesterday, obviously.
Was part of you hoping Syracuse would be undefeated when you went up there, or does that?
Yeah, I got more.
I mean, it's on your list.
Yeah, that's down on that. That's down on that list. You know, they're going to be top 3 or 4 teams in the country when we play them. So, yeah.
I know you guys have different ways of analyzing how your players are doing statistically and metrics. Is there any 1 or 2 things with Daniel that you've noticed that are a lot better or different than last year or even the beginning of this year?
On the offensive end in particular?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess.
Well, you know, obviously I think that the shots per game on a consistent basis in normal type games is much higher, so that shows a greater assertiveness. You know what I mean? He also is scoring more baskets from the 5 to 15-foot range than he ever has before, and that's helped us offensively, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, and so you're relying less on pure post moves and more on power post moves where you've stretched the defense and he's able just to go straight up. He's scoring more on ball screens, which for him in his future is a great thing to do, both on the rolls and on the pops.